these are the two foundations. They're American foundations. They're based in the United States of America, right?
Well, one of them is Mama Sara does not have a 501c3, raises funds from the U.S. Using a 501c3 in California, right, that basically acts as a hub. So you're right, in essence. Malik Obama's foundation is a United States foundation, approved a 501c3 by the IRS.
All right, has anybody pulled their 990s to see what kind of money's going through these organizations?
No, not at all.
Okay, that could be something. You had a question? Because all the C3s, 501c3s, have to, they've got to report their 990s. We are a 501c3, and every year we do our taxes. We have to say if somebody donated over $5,000, we got to put their name down. You got to show everything.
Right.
And these are, sometimes they're hard to get, but they are a matter of public record if they're C3s.
That quick track status on 501c3, or do they have to go through the same heartaches that the Tea Party groups went through?
We're going to find that out, how these groups got their C3 status, because he reveals that in the article. But
that was one of the questions that I wanted to get into, was when were these foundations registered in the United States? And are you able to show a direct link between Barack Hussein Obama, the president, and these foundations themselves?
Or is it
or is he
Billy Carter?
Are there so many degrees of separation that he could just say, you know what, sure, I'm related to them, but I don't have anything to do with those foundations. I don't endorse them. I don't profit from them. I don't help my family members profit from them, and I have nothing to do with it. Is he able to distance himself from it, or can you connect them? And if so, how? I mean, what's the evidence for that?
Well, it's a very good question. When it comes to the issue of the IRS illegally retroactivated his tax-deductible status, according, in fact, to the National Legal Policy Center, which is a watchdog group that investigated the issue when he didn't have a 501c3, was astonished that the 501c3 status by the IRS was retroactivated, in which no one in the entire country can get it that fast. He was basically forging and claiming that he was a 501c3 for a couple, 2-3 years before that.
This is Malik you're talking about.
Malik Obama, correct.
Okay.
And when it was found out, he corrected the problem, but it is impossible to correct such a problem without investigating what happened in the last 2 years. He was collecting all this monies. In fact, the address that was given to the IRS is a bogus address. It is a UPS store. Everything was bogus in the application with the IRS. And how did the IRS retroactivated this so speedily? It's impossible unless there was favoritism involved. In other words, it seems very clear, and we have good reason to believe that the reason Barack H. Obama Foundation gained this status so quickly is because there was influence using the Barack Obama name.
No, really? No.
That's crazy.
You know what has to happen, if you guys have not done this yet, we gotta lay the timeline out of the filing of the C3 application, well, the time the complaint, the time he started raising money, and see if it parallels the Obama administration and their current
and the
scandal.
White House visitor list of the director of the IRS who paid over 100 visits to the White House during Obama's first term versus one visit to the White House during George W. Bush's second
Because
term.
that would, you may have done that, but that would be very interesting, that the IRS is giving the conservative organizations hard time. You know, you're not getting your C3, you're not getting your C4, and all of a sudden out of Kenya, the Kenyans come in, and Malik lives in Washington, D.C., and he goes, oops, I think I need a C3, and the IRS goes, no problem, here it is, and guess what? It goes back to whenever you wanted to go back to.
Right.
That is very interesting.
And this is a picture of President Obama
with his brother, half brother Malik.
Is that Malik?
That's Malik.
Roy, okay.
Right, and there's another picture of Malik and or his organization, and just to explain,
Hey, Walid, this is the picture. I don't know if you can see these, but there's a picture of Malik with the president. It looks like in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then there's a picture of Malik speaking at a podium. Now, what is that all about? Where he's
That's at
speaking
the
at a podium?
IDO, right?
yeah, that's it.
Yes, the podium is actually even more interesting than the 501c3. I wish that you could help me in gaining more information as far as to the 501c3. I focus on the Middle Eastern issues. So when it comes to Malik Obama's photo there on the podium, what Americans don't understand is the significance of this. He is not on the podium in front of a group that wants to donate monies for widows and orphans. He is in company of some of the most wanted people on earth. In that event, he is addressing his bosses, and his bosses are Omar al-Bashir, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court
Oh,
Great.
on 7 counts of mass murder. And we're talking about Darfur. We're talking about the Darfur that President Obama wanted to bring to justice, the culprits. And yet at the same rate, President Obama thwarts the Southern Sudanese from taking action anytime they want to take action
Of course.
against the attacks.
Yeah.
And there also in that podium sitting next to him is his boss. Let's first understand that relationship. His boss is Swar Dahab. Swar Dahab is the director and chairman of what is called the Islamic Da'wah organization. Da'wah literally means the call to Islam, building madrasas. This organization is the organization in Sudan that is responsible for building madrasas and mosques throughout the African subcontinent. There is about maybe 40 to 60 extensions of it. One of them is in Kenya. And Malik Hussein Obama is the executive secretary for that organization. And let's understand what organization the Islamic Dawah organization is centered at. It is supervised and centered in the country of Sudan. Sudan is considered by the State Department a state harbors terrorism. It's a terrorist state. We're not talking about people who want to bow 5 times towards Mecca. We are talking about the madrasas. We are talking about those madrasas that, for example, the man that butchered the British officer in London just last week, I believe. This man was recruited in a madrasa in Kenya, the same country of Malik Obama. This is the kind of activity Malik Obama is doing, is building the same kind of madrasas and facilities that educates under the system of Wahhabism that produces terrorism. Let's not forget,